Hi guys, welcome to University, Hustle Demi Hustle edition. Here is where you can learn about local entrepreneurs and their daily hustles. I'm your host, Renyi, and today I'll be having an interesting conversation and an inspiring one with Fazrena Aziz, a visionary behind TudungPeople and the leading brand in modest fashion. Fazrena is not only a successful entrepreneur, but also a passionate advocate in education, entrepreneurship, and women's empowerment. She's living proof that remarkable success can be achieved at a young age. Today, we will dive into Fazrena's journey, explore her challenges, her triumphs, and invaluable lessons. So let's not waste any more time and start today's episode. Is it too young to start a business? And with us is Fazrena Aziz.
Hi.
Hey Fazrena, good to have you here.
Thank you for having me today.
How's your day so far?
It's been great, Alhamdulillah. Just really happy and thankful to be around.
All right, and I'm really glad to have you here. All right, so we're gonna dive into our conversation today, and I've been reading up about you, and it's really, really interesting. It's a little bit opposite.
Better be.
Yeah, I think it is. It's a little bit opposite from my journey, whereby I started old. You started really young, so maybe you can share a little bit of how early did you start your entrepreneurial journey, and when did it start?
Well, I was once young. I started to know people 13 years ago when I was just 21 years old. So I
Wow.
was, I was still studying. I was supposed to graduate, did not graduate on time, and that's how things happen. It's amazingly to know people. For me, it's like fate. How one thing leads to another. I was back in 2011. I was supposed to be an architect. I was studying architecture in a university in Malaysia. And at that particular time, I think a lot of people can relate with me. Typically Malaysia, we're all about, um, you know, university. We were all about getting like good results, like doing one year after another. And when I'm supposed to graduate, I did not graduate in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I extended my study by a year, and that's when I feel that the whole world falls apart. Like, oh, this is what am I doing? What's happening? This is something that don't usually happen to me.
Because you're not on track
I was not
anymore.
on track anymore, and I was like,
Based on whose standard?
um, by I would say by a normal standard, like
Yeah, society
yeah, by
standard.
society standard. And I was like, oh, is this really? So I think that's when I started questioning myself. Like, is it for me? Am I like not like a standard, like by am I like not the standard anymore? Like, am I below that?
Mm-hmm.
Is architecture? I started questioning a lot of things in life, and one thing after another, I found uh Tudong people.
Okay,
Just like that.
yeah. Before we go deep dive into that, so you said you were extending for one more year in the university. How many subjects were you doing at that time?
Just one.
Just one.
Just
Okay.
one.
So you have a lot of
I
time.
have a lot of
I
time.
assume it's like what, 5 hours per week?
3.
3 hours per week. All right. So then tell me a little bit about how you said, hey, I have so much time on my hand. Do I go traveling? Do I take on another course? Or what you did, you started the business. But what made you think Tudong? And also, I can start a business right now, because at that time you said you were already behind schedule. Most people want to graduate and find jobs and maybe go do internship. So why didn't you go down that route?
Funnily though, I feel that I was very passionate at what I was studying, and then I think when that happens, oh, you have to extend a year for a minor subject. It makes me hated architecture so much. Like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I have to look for something else. But then, I do not have any other plan. For me, it was like a die thing. Like, I want to do architecture. I want to be an architect. I want to be like build my own architecture firm, and it was all that. And then when that stopped, it made me realize, oh, was there another way? Was there another thing for me to do? And I've met, Alhamdulillah. I think that's what fate is. You meet the right people who's like, hey, why don't you do business? And at that particular time, e-commerce was very new in Malaysia.
Yes.
So we had like people doing businesses to get married, like to find money to get married and things like that. And I'm like, maybe is this my calling? So I started Tudung People on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, so 13 years ago, there was no Instagram. There was like no other social media but Facebook. So we started on Facebook, and being in a design architecture is like design plus a bit of science. So I have people who loves art. So it's all we started with just like myself asking friends for favor, like finding a friend like who can like take photographs, and we found like a studio in my uni, like an abandoned studio that people never use, and we're like, why don't we try something? And I pay them with just like KFC.
But why Tudong? Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Because you were searching for other things to do. There could have been so many things.
Well, coming from UIA, so everybody has to wear tudung, whether you wear tudung outside or not. So that, and then it's a place where it's a multinational from all over the world coming in to study, and I get to see things in there like you don't really see it outside. So you have people from the Africa, you have people from the Arab Gulf, so they're all wearing different style of tudung. At that particular time, people wear pashmina.
Oh, could you explain what that
Okay,
is?
pashmina is like it's from the Middle East, so it's thick and it is scarves. It's a rectangle scarf. So back then, we don't really have like long scarves in Malaysia that is thin to cater our weather. People only wear like square scarf, or people call it bawal. So that's what people like Malaysians
Are
wear.
used to.
Yeah, we're used to that. And for us, shawl is a bit more rangi. It's a bit more fashionable. And a pashmina is really hot. Like in uni days, we walk a lot. We don't have a car. So it's really hot to wear like such a thick material throughout the day. And that's how Tudung People started. I wanted to create like a chiffon scarves, like which is long and big, that you can wear fashionably and still be cool under the hot weather.
So just like most entrepreneur, you saw a problem and you wanted to solve for it.
Yes, that's right.
Great. Now, you said that you started talking to a few friends and you started taking pictures. I also understand that your brother is your business partner.
Yes, that's right.
How did, I mean, was it something that you started first and you asked him to, come in for funding, or you needed someone to guide you? How did that, partnership come about?
Well, in this line, I was the art. I was the one that does the design, the one that envision like how does the campaign looks like. My brother helped with the operation. Being an art student, as you know, I'm not very good at calculation and things like that. So my brother was studying medicine at that time, and then he's like, "Hey, you know what? Let me help you with it." So we're both students at that time. We don't have big capital, so we just work with what we have. We went to fabric store together, sourcing it, sending it to the tailor, pack it, reply emails. All of those things were just done with the two of us when we first
Wow.
started, many years ago lah.
So let me get this straight. You started it while still in uni doing that one subject. At that time, did you already abandon architecture, or it was a, hey, this is a safety net, I'm going to build on it, like the Tudung People, I'm going to build on it, or which was priority to you at that point in time, if you can remember?
At that point, I didn't have, my heart was not with
Architecture
architecture
anymore.
anymore. So I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to try something new and see where does this lead to.
Did you manage to graduate?
I did though.
Safety net. Then that became the safety net. Okay, in case Student People didn't take off. Okay, now you mentioned about capital. All right, so you were still a student. Your brother was still a student in medical school, no less. How did you get your first round of capital, if you don't mind me asking?
Honestly, that we started with just, I think it was $2,000.
Okay.
2,000 ringgit. And we just, Alhamdulillah, I came from family yang, we are not rich, but we're okay. So I stayed with my parents. So makan, minum, tidur all settled for. I don't have to pay for that. And we from that 2,000, we slowly built that. So from 2,000 became 4,000, became 8,000. So that's how we built our business at the starting age.
So in that first year, how many designs did you have? And with that 2,000 initial capital, how many tudungs were you able to generate, and how long did it take to sell all of them?
Amazingly, I think we sold out the first time when we launched.
Okay.
So that's how we do it. Like we got the money and we put it back in the company and we keep
Keep on
on
rolling.
rolling the money.
So let's talk about that. How did you create that desire for people to want to buy so quickly?
I think that Alhamdulillah, social media was very new, so the term viral was not does not
Yep,
exist at
yep.
that time. So we started making tutorials. So we totally use YouTube, whatever free platforms out there. So we have Facebook that has sharing button. We have YouTube to make videos. So that's how people started knowing us. We also spent on blog posts.
Oh,
If
okay.
you remember,
Yeah,
13 years
yeah,
ago,
yeah, yeah.
blogging was like a big deal. So we've met like some bloggers who can do it for free, some with a bit of payment, and that's how the words got around.
Okay, that's really great because not everyone can find that level of success so quickly as well. And you were able to tap into all the resources that was available at that time. And to think that these days, the younger generation have from TikTok to Shopify and all these different platforms that allow for them to sell. But we'll go into that a little bit later. So again, still in the OG days, okay? Now, you said that you came from a okay family, all right? Were your parents entrepreneurial? Did your mother or your father have their own business? How did you get that entrepreneurial spirit? Where do you think that came from?
My dad is an entrepreneur. Funnily though, he was not very supportive. When I first started, he's like, "I don't think you should do entrepreneurship," but my brother was. He has
Your
that.
older?
My older brother,
Okay.
the partner, has always he loves business. When in uni, he was like selling hot dogs quietly, macam letak bakul with hot dogs and like a cup to put in money.
Yep, yep.
So he does that like macam anonymously. So that's how he's the one that has 2K and not me. I only
Oh,
know
so
how
he
to
had
spend.
okay. So the cat pillow came from your brother.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So he does that. So he loved businesses, and then when he sees me, he saw it as an opportunity. So a lot of those business ideas come from him, and I just like pretty things and make things pretty. So, but honestly, it all started with my dad. My dad's a marketing guy, and I think that funnily though we all took up like professional degrees, but at the end of the day, we went back to our roots and we love doing business.
Okay, okay. Now, one interesting point that I heard, which is, so when you said you told your dad that you wanted to go and be an entrepreneur, he said no. All right. How did that feel? Did you feel like, you know, disappointed that you're not getting the support that you want? And when did you convince him that this was the right path for you?
He didn't know.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, because my parents were living in Penang and I was in KL studying. So once I graduated, my dad was not keen with the idea of me doing business. He's like, you know what? Why are you doing this? You know, if you want to do business, you want to do architecture, you should go to corporate line. I don't know where he sees me in that, but I'm like, okay, so what should I do? Take up MBA. And I did.
Oh, you wait.
I did. Did not finish it.
Okay, so this was after you finished,
After graduating, I went straight to MBA.
while you were running.
While running TudungPeople, and I couldn't cope. I got kicked out.
All right. I mean,
But
no
I
shame
mean,
in that.
I didn't finish it, and then but he thought I was still studying, so that's what kept me busy. Was I actually busy running business and not doing the MBA, and he only found out like much later. It's like, how come this girl haven't graduated for so many years, and that's when I broke it to him like, sorry, I'm not doing this anymore.
But I read somewhere that in the early days, you were running the business out of your home.
Yeah, that's right.
The attic or you know. But how did he not see that or know that you were running that business while studying?
I think he always think that it's a part-time thing.
Okay.
My mom has been very
It's a phase.
supportive. It's a phase. He's
Yeah.
like, let her do whatever she wants. And then, but my mom was very supportive. So all this while, when TudungPeople started, and then I took up a space in my parents' house, my mom helped out writing down all of those post-laju consignments, and I have my younger brothers coming from school and helping me pack. Taking photos, like we DIY so many things. Like back then we don't have the money to buy lighting equipments, so we made out of menthol, tambah perspec lah, just to create like macam a soft light effect. But Alhamdulillah for supportive family members. My dad was not supportive in a way, but he did not make it
He did not make it hard for
he
you.
did not make it hard for
Okay.
me.
It was not his ideal outcome, I would have to
Yeah.
say. But I think most parents are like that. They do have a path designed for their children, and hopefully that they can follow that path and find success. So would you say that if there are parents out there, right, and they hear their children saying that they want to try something new, right, and right after graduation without even going into the industry that they studied for, and much less the parents paid for, what would your advice be to those parents having, a dad that I wouldn't say not supportive, but definitely wasn't too happy about it at that point
Yeah.
in time? What would you say to those parents?
Um, I feel that you always have to give people a chance, whether it is your children or even your parents, because by the end of the day, even for your parent, it's the first time for them as well. It's the first time for him to see, his child not doing something that I studied.
Yeah.
So it is always a first time for both parties, and it's giving a chance for both of us to understand each other and giving time. Of course, by the end of the day, parents know children best, but the child would know themselves best. And you need to know when to stop and when to keep going.
Great answer. I went through almost the same thing as you, and it was only when I found success that I was recognized, for my success. Anyway, now let's move on away from your uni days and your early startup days. We talked about capital, and you just snowballed it 1,000 ringgit at a time, right? However, when you were talking to suppliers that were producing your products for you, at any given point, did you feel that they were not taking you seriously because you were so young?
Funnily though, that's not the case. I felt that it is a recipe for you to meet like the right people. So the right people is not just people around you. It is also people supporting your business, whether it is suppliers to customers, to production houses. We grew together with them. And when I first started as well, the production house was a lot smaller than where they are right now. And as Tudung people grew, they grew as well. So we have been working with the same supplier for more than 10 years already.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like everybody grew together kind of thing.
That's really good to hear. And I think that in any industry, that really secure support system must be there. I'm glad that you were able to find that in so early in your journey. Now, but no business is without problems. So far, you've given a lot of positive outlook, right? That it was quite smooth sailing to some extent. Maybe let's think back, right, to your toughest time in the early days, because I think in different part of our journey as we grow, we have different challenges. So in the early days, the first 3 years, let's say, right, what was some of the more significant challenges that you can remember that you had sleepless nights or maybe even cried? I hope you didn't, but I know that most business people
Still
have
cry though. What do you mean?
for different reasons. But yeah, so back then, what was the pain points that you had to face as a young entrepreneur?
Well, I think I started my business really young and without any business background. I did not study business. I did not work before. So Tudung People was my first actual work. And I think that throughout times there were many instances where I can feel that my knowledge is not sufficient. So it's an example when we first introduced GST. So that is the real deal. Like you need to know what's happening and how do you maneuver your business, spending money and spending time to learn about something that you have no idea about. Like I don't have any kind of mathematical background. So that has been like a huge adventure to learn on something new and to like apply it. And you know that if you take a wrong step or you do the wrong things, like you could lose a lot of things.
A lot of times people think that business is about chasing your passion and doing what you love, and naturally you will make money. I don't think that's always the case.
Yeah.
It's actually more of a numbers game than anything else. You need to know that you are making money after paying off everything else, taking care of your team, that you are actually making money. A business is not just a fun project. So back then, did you at any given point have struggles whereby you couldn't make profit? Was there any such times? Because business is always a roller coaster. It's never going to be forever sales growing. Was there any such time? And what were some of the thought that was going through your mind, and how did you overcome it?
I think for Tudung people, we take very calculated risk. We don't do like huge investment that will risk a lot of things. Anything that we do, we start small, and then only with experience that we will invest and get bigger. So for us, our growth graph has always been steadily increasing rather than like a huge jump. Pros and cons: when you have a huge jump with virality, you can gain a huge chunk of money in like a short time. But for us, we like to take the safer route and get very calculated risk. Like everything we do is calculated. There's always a plan A, a plan B, a plan C. So I think that's how I drive to Tudung people rather than having like a huge leap. We take up the slow growth.
I think the lesson here from what you have just shared is organic growth, right? Rather than pumping a lot of or taking investors' money in and pumping it and growing it quickly. Okay, I do have one question here that I'm not too sure if you had to go through it. Most businesses without, most business people without having run one or two businesses or having gone through business school might make this mistake, and I have gone through my own fair share. What has been the costliest mistake that you or your business have ever made? For example, you wanted a certain design printed, and then it comes out not the way you want it, and you cannot sell it, right? And you have to put it in the bin. So what was one of the costliest mistake in your business journey?
Throughout, when I first started Tudung People, we opened a few stores. It is always a dream to own an F&B line.
Oh,
Yes. So when we opened one of our boutiques, we opened a boutique cafe. I do not know how to cook. What more manage people who cooks? So that was, I think, that's the costliest damage that we've done. We opened up with few friends who was like great cooks, but to to make something from home and to actually like own a cafe, it's a totally different ballgame. You would absolutely know, but this is a much tiny scale, and that costs us so much money. Tudung People was the one covering all the cafe expenses. We actually opened for a few years until we come to a point that, you know what, we have to cut it. We have to cut the loss. Like it's been on loss for a while. We went viral, sekejap, and then ke bawah, and we're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm a fashion person and not F&B person. I might just go elsewhere to eat good food, but not at my store.
understood. Now, I'm sorry to hear that, and it's always very painful when you have to close any project.
Yeah.
And I think focusing on one niche sometimes works well for some of us, right? Now, that being said, do you regret having gone down that path of trying F&B with your friends?
I wouldn't say regret because I feel that, you can always find money but not experience. So I've learned so much through that. I mean, that has taught me so much in terms of being a better leader, making better decision. Even though, because I came in a personal capacity, and then Tudung People had to come in and buy over, so that creates a lot of
Tension.
tension. But by the end of the day, Alhamdulillah, it's not like a major loss. It is a loss of investment, but we can always find more money. So
Good.
That's
I like that you had that takeaway. Okay, now, so we have talked about your early days. We have talked about we have talked about your startup. We have talked about your early days. Let's talk about personal wise. Okay, do you feel that the last 13 years, and it's a very long 13 years, time flies by.
Yeah.
Right. How has your personal identity evolved alongside your journey with Tudung People? Because it's two separate entities. Or do you feel that you are Tudung People is you?
Well, when I first started, yes, I feel that Tudung People is me. How do I portray myself? The way that I like to wear, that became the identity of Tudung People. But as I grew and as I grew older and Tudung People grew bigger, I feel that I had to come to a point where I need to disassociate myself from Tudung People. I am me. I have my own personal views, which shared with Tudung People, but Tudung People has to stand on its own. And I feel that Tudung People is a lot more wholesome. As we grew bigger, we started creating more lines, and we even have we try to cater bigger age group. Well, for me, I try to be, because I hold a lot of caps here. I'm a mother. I'm also a daughter. I own a business, so I'm also a the business leader. So how do I see things in different caps? And then that's how Turun people change. So we wanted to cater more people of different lifestyle, different background, and people of different age. And I think that's where Turun will start to disassociate with me, and you will get to become more of a problem solver to women out there.
But yourself, how did your growth and transition, what does it look like over the last 12 years, especially when you convert to motherhood? Has that significantly changed how you think about business and how you treat yourself, how you treat your family? Can you share a little bit about that? Because I'm quite sure it's a huge 360.
It's huge. Oh my God. I feel that it has a bit of backstory, is that I gave birth during COVID. So it's a huge change, not just in terms of personal, but also the environment. But it's funny how I think humans are just so adaptable to changes. We change business models, we change the way we work. And coming from a company with 99% women, I think that we're just capable of doing multitasking. And I think I've also had a much healthier working environment right now. We know when to stop. I think as an entrepreneur, we tend to work 24/7. That's it's a bad habit.
Yep.
Okay, and then when I tend to a mom, okay, you know what? I need to leave this businesswoman cap as soon as I reach home. Take it off. And I am now a mother. So I come back on time, pick up my son, and I'm okay, so business is done. I'm a mother right now. So for me personally, it has made me into a much more disciplined person. I've learned to disassociate at certain times. Okay, this is where I am, this is my priority, but as soon as it's after business hours, my priority is home.
Yep.
I am contactable, but preferably not to. So I think that kind of changes everybody's working style as well, and then it became much more healthier to just focus on yourself as well as your business.
So as a business leader, we have to make sacrifices. Sometimes from home, sometimes at work as well. Can you share what are some of the sacrifices that you still have to make these days on the family side of things and also on the business side of things? Because too many times business owners are always portrayed to have the best life, right? That everything is perfect in our life. But there's always sacrifices, things that we have to give up. What is that to you in your current day-to-day?
I feel that, rather than that, I feel that I could have given more.
Okay.
But I have cut down being in the social media. I used to upload so much more, creating more content with my team, but I feel that takes up a lot of time. So I'm right now, I feel that I've been focusing a lot more on my business from the back. So not really standing in front of the limelight, so that I have more time to do work and expanding the business, and then I still have time for my personal life.
Okay, great answer. All right, so it's been a while since we've chatted. Even my throat is a little bit parched. Why don't we take a break and we'll listen to what UniFi Business has to say.
Being your own boss can feel like a big mistake. When you need to figure out everything yourself, even though you don't know what to do. But with the right partner, it can feel like the best decision you made. Because no matter what problems you face, we will always find a way. These are the business owners who have grown their business with our help.
Hi guys, we're back. If you are a business owner who's looking for digital marketing support, look no further. Sign up for UniFi Business Digital Marketing Solutions, and for as low as RM50 ringgit per month, you can plan, strategize, and run your ads on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google, Ref Media for maximum impression. Log on to this link for more information. Hi Fazrena, welcome back.
Thank you.
Do you know what segment this is?
What is that?
It's the podcast Takeover, starring you.
Thank you.
All right, so you have all the time you need
Uh-huh.
to showcase the products that you have. Educate me as a non-hijab wearer, obviously, right? What are the differences between your product and others? And what are some of the latest trends and fashion in the modest fashion industry?
Okay. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. So I'm the host for this time.
Yes.
I'm Fazrena Aziz. Rainy, right?
Yes, Renee.
Okay. So Rainy, now I know you don't wear hijab, but there's so many things that you have to know about the hijabs. So I have. Do you know what this is?
Very pretty ladies wearing very fashionable hijab.
Well, this is TudungPeople's recent Raya campaign. A bit of TudungPeople, we've been in the industry for 13 years, and Raya has always been the biggest celebration throughout the year. So that's where all the brands will do the biggest collabs, the biggest collections, and of course for TudungPeople as well. So every year we'll always try to do something very different. Of course, typically every Raya, all Muslims will be wearing like macam baju kurung, baju traditional, and of course we'll always pair with like the matching hijab. So for this 2024, instead of the usual balik raya, balik kampung, nangis-nangis, Syawal all, so we've made a new campaign which is called the Missing Mangkuk Tingkat.
Oh, why is it missing?
That's the story. So for TudungPeople, we have created a mini series on Instagram, and instead of the usual balik kampung scene, so we have like a detective, as you can see here. It's a bit more movie, like a mini series, a detective searching for the missing mangkuk tingkat, which was the inspiration behind our Raya collection this year.
That is so smart. So you're telling a story, at the same time, it's showing how fashionable these individuals are.
Yes,
while
of
solving the
course.
crime.
For us, because TudungPeople is an e-commerce, so we are based largely online, and being on Instagram, how do we want to make things different? So how do we portray our hijab? Because every time we have like fashion campaigns, and it's like different models, different look. But this time we have a mini series of portraying how the detective found the culprit that steals the mangkuk tingkat. As you can see here, this is our detective searching with the pretty girls as a cast. So the models were the cast for this, and the main location is like the imaginary Kedai TudungPeople. So that's the bit of, this is our Raya collection. You
Wow,
see?
that's really pretty.
And yeah, so this year, this Raya collection, we have over 62 colors, 62 designs in multiple scarves and materials. So we have from like satin silk, which is what most people like to wear during events. Do you know?
No.
So
I'll pretend that I do.
like a bit more kilat, so something that you women like to wear during events. We also have something less shiny, so something a bit more of everyday
Oh,
wear.
okay.
So usually every year we launch about like one collection per Raya or two, but this
This
year we
time?
did three,
Wow.
which is tons, and we launched it in Style Heel early this year.
Is this still available right now?
It's still available in certain colors. Of course, some of the colors has sold out, but don't worry, if you want one, I'll get one for you. Okay?
Okay, I need to find a girlfriend that. Okay, never mind.
Oh,
Wait, I
where
have
you
a
going with
fiance
that?
already. I'm gonna get in trouble.
All right. So recently, TudungPeople has celebrated our 13th year anniversary, and this is something very special for me because you never notice how time passed. I thought that we've been here for 5 years, but no, it's not even 10. It's 13.
13.
So as we of course growing older, we wanted to keep all the years TudungPeople has always been very neutral, very pastel, and we wanted to change that. So we have introduced a new icon and on a rare occasion for us to work with a very bold color. So this is the new identity of Tudung People,
Ah,
with the new icon and a new color. So color of the year, burgundy, has been the new brand identity. So everything is very deep, very I guess it
it's
also
very
comes,
bold.
it's very bold, it's very fashion. I think we've always been a bit more minimal, we've always been like very simple, minimal, and we like, you know, Student People has always liked something very subtle, very minimal, but we want to change that. As we grew, 13 years, a long time, and we wanted to be something a bit more fashionable. And we want to show that you can be minimal, but still be very bold.
And this, I think, is a representation of your growth with your customers along with them, because a lot of them, when they were probably still when they were probably when they were probably still school students, now they are mothers, right?
Yeah.
And they have a different taste, different style.
Different taste, different style, and with that, Tudung People has also introduced our new clothing lines.
Oh.
So we have in this, I think one thing that I can relate with our customers is that we love traveling. So we just launched our new collection, Travel Leisure. So that's it. You can travel, you can be comfortable, because I feel that that wearing hijab does not deter women in doing anything that they want, whether it is, you're chasing your dream or living a lifestyle from whatever background. So we still try to create, collections and attires. Right now, we have also ventured into clothing lines that can fit women of multiple range and background. So this is Travel Leisure. So now you have a reason to travel
In fashion.
in fashion and comfort.
So when you talk about comfort, educate me on this, because as a man, right, I do feel like if you're wearing a hijab, it can get pretty hot in our weather, right? And just now you did mention some of your products have a cooling effect.
Oh, all right. So that's one thing that I'm going for. This is Tudung People's new innerwear collection. Of course, when you said about innerwear, everybody has inners. That's right. So what makes Tudung People inner different from the rest? So this is our new inner range. Instead of the usual cotton lycra, which we still have, that we to make it comfortable and sticks to your tudung well, we have also added nets instead of the usual opaque inners, so that to make it more breathable and cooling. And all of our inners comes with nanotechnology that has antimicrobial and antibacterial properties to keep it clean and wangi the whole time. So
Oh, it's
tudung
really
is
good
more
looking.
than just fashion. I feel it has a bit of science to keep it comfortable and to make sure that it stays comfort throughout the whole day.
Great. Wow. Wow.
Can you imagine that?
I can't. It's something that I think I have to experience it for myself, or the ladies to experience for themselves. Well, do you have any other thing that is upcoming that's exciting that you might be able to share?
Well, the thing is with Tudung People, we have weekly releases every week, and every week we have new things coming out. Recently, for Raya Haji, we have our Haji series. So that's bigger tudung catering for whether you want to go for Hajj or if you want like more modest look. So we try to have some things a bit more seasonal, like if it depends on the celebration, like is it Haji or even like traveling season or school holidays. In fact, we also has swimming wear collection.
Wow.
So swimming hijab collections that that you can wear to go for island hopping and a lot of those things. It's more than just hijab wearing. It's also very practical to wear because, as you know, when you swim, can you imagine wearing a tudung when you swim? So you wouldn't want those hijab to,
Get wet and be
Get-
heavy and
get heavy, and you also don't want it to flap
Yep.
out and macam kena wave the cabut semua tudung kan. So you want them to stand in place. So we have that as well.
So it sounds like you have a solution for every occasion. Amazing.
Alhamdulillah. I think that our Tudung People's main tagline, "Made for All," really make us strive to try to cater and answers every problem that people, women from different background of lifestyle has.
Well, tell you what, why don't you tell me some of the best compliments you have received from your customers?
Honestly, I feel that among the most heartfelt compliments I have is that people who does not wear tudung and started following us because they want to learn how to wear tudung. So I feel that that has to be like the best compliment a hijab brand would have. For you to inspire people who don't wear tudung to start wearing tudung. Alhamdulillah.
Wow, wow, wow. So Fazrena, it seems like you have a lot of offerings. How can people get your products? Where can they buy it?
All right, Renyi. So if anybody wants to know more information about any of TudungPeople's product, you can head on straight to our website at www.tudungpeople.com, or you can also visit our social media at TudungPeople, or you can visit at any of our stores. So we have a store in KL East Mall, IPC Damansara, Bangi Central, ICT Central, and of course our newest store in Arab Street, Singapore.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And with that, you have successfully completed the podcast takeover.
Thank you.
All right, now I have more questions for you. More grilling.
It's
Don't
not
worry.
finished?
No. Okay, so now that I've heard so much about your products, I've also done a little bit of Googling and I realized that you have some really great collaborations. For example, what's this MAG collaboration? Can you tell me more about it?
That is huge. Alhamdulillah. So earlier this year, Malaysia Airlines Aviation Group has recently revamped their uniform, and Alhamdulillah for TudungPeople to be a part of this collaboration. So TudungPeople is now the official hijab partner for MAG ground staff. So if you go to
Wow.
KLIA and you see all of those blue wearing hijab MAG staff, so those are all from TudungPeople.
Amazing. I also know that you're quite big into collaborations. Do you want to share other milestones that you have done over the years that you're very proud of?
Honestly, I think the biggest one would have to be MEG. I think we're also one of the first local brand that they have reached out to, and for someone who loves traveling, it is such an honor for me to see all of MEG ground staff wearing TudungPeople's hijab.
Whenever you go to the
Whenever
airport.
we go to the airport, so that is huge. I can never imagine that we have done that and we could actually do that. And of course, secondly, as you know, 2024 is the year of Olympic. And for the past years, TudungPeople has worked very closely with MSN, that is Majlis Sukan Negara, and we have been working with Malaysian athletes to further improve our hijabs. And so we have been so we are the official hijab partner for MSN athletes. So whenever they go for competition, they go for the upcoming Olympics. So all of the athletes are wearing TudungPeople's hijab.
That's amazing. Congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Now, sorry, you wanted to say?
It's been such an amazing experience to be able to work with such big names, for us to work with MSN. I think MSN themselves has been very supportive with us. All the athletes has also been very supportive. We try to be, as you know, we don't have a lot of hijabi athletes. So to be able to work with them has been so inspiring, and we work very closely designing the hijab according to what they need.
That is actually functional.
Something functional and something that answers their problem, because we truly believe that wearing hijab does not deter you in chasing after your dreams
And performing at your best level.
and to perform on international level, it's been like a lifelong dream.
Congratulations. I'm really inspired just hearing the collabs that you have done.
Thank
Now,
you.
all these collabs couldn't have happened if you didn't have a very strong branding or even the marketing to get to that level where they want to work with you. Maybe we can talk a little bit about your marketing strategies over the years and how it has evolved. All
I
right?
think for TudungPeople, when I created the brand TudungPeople, just as its name, we want to try to be the tudung for like people rather than just being part of the fashion industry, like creating things because of the aesthetic. We want to create something that is functional for day-to-day wear. Like you don't want to associate hijab as like a fashion piece. For us, a hijab is a lifestyle, like something that we chose to wear for the whole day, and then you would have different hijab style for different phase of life and different activities. Like you want to have like a sports hijab to do sports. You want to have a swimming hijab to swim. You want to have like different eventful hijab for different occasion and something a bit more practical for your daily wear. So for Tudung people, we strives on that. Like you have a problem, come to us, we will find a solution for you. And I think the whole team has been really amazing and take up the challenge to create even more and better hijab. Like every time it's all about what things we can add to make life better for the hijab wearer. And Alhamdulillah, I think that has been our company's main goal since day one.
So, educate me a little bit on the R&D team. How do they discover the problems, and how does the R&D process work? And then once the product is out, how does the marketing team decide who to sell to or who to market this to?
Thing is, I feel that we the initially we started with Tudung people, made by the people for the people. So my company, which are like 99% of girls, they're all hijab wearers from different background, different lifestyle. So we do inject a lot of our own personal experience in that, and a lot of them has been with me for many years. Some of them has been with me for 11 years. So that is like 90% of my own journey as well. And we grew together from like, budak, like unis, and then we move into adulthood, and then motherhood. So those things changes us as a person as well, and those experiences make us become better. And I think that kind of shape the way we think about Tudung people as well. When we find problem, not that we find problem, but we want to create solutions to an existing problem, and those problems something that all of us went through as well.
Well, it sounds like you have products designed by people for the people. That's amazing, amazing. All right. So, since we were talking about marketing, and I want to touch a little bit on yourself as an influencer. How does that?
We had this talk.
Yeah. But as an influencer, it carries a bit of a weight, right? So, do you think the brand could have carried itself well without you being an influencer, or you became an influencer because of your brand?
I think it's the second one. I became an influencer because of my brand. They know me because of Tudung people. Back in the early years where I became the face of Tudung people, so that actually takes a lot of effort and takes a lot of toll on me as well, because not just I am trying to expand my company, I'm also the face, and being a face you have to go with a certain image, and that has been really tough. So we wanted Tudung people to not have a face for a while, and to be able to cater people of many different backgrounds. But I think as time passed, we have our face of Tudung people, but it's nice that people can connect with us more than just connecting with me. They connect to the brand, because the brand is more wholesome, because by the end of the day, I'm just human. I am not perfect, and I don't want to be perfect. So I feel that it is so much easier when I take a step back and disconnect myself from Tudung people. Do you get what I mean?
I think I do. And I'm glad that you made that distinct decision, because early in the days, you need to be the face of the company. But over time, the company or the brand has its own personality, and you can slowly disassociate yourself from that. I think that's so important, so you can have your own privacy as well.
Own privacy, own opinion, and I feel that the brand has to remain neutrals in certain things. I feel like the brand has their own personality that caters more wholesome group rather than my own personality, just one individual.
Well put, well put. Now, again, on the topic of branding and marketing, where you were 10 years ago is a very different scene right now in terms of competition. How many, can you say, at least 100 new hijab brands have emerged over the last 10 years?
Probably more.
Probably more. Right? How do you stay right on top of the game? And how do you make sure that when people talk about hijab, they talk about you first? What are some of the strategies that your company has applied to make sure that when I think hijab, I think Tudung people?
Well, technically, we have never strived to be number one. Like, we don't need to be the only hijab brand that people wear. Even I myself, I wear tons of brands and not just one. But I believe that the main idea of Tudung people is for us to stay true to ourselves. And by staying true to ourselves is for us to pave path.
Pave?
Okay, for us to pave our own way. And I think with TudungPeople, we try to cater problems. We are solution to people's problem, and we stick to that. So for the whole 13 years, we've only been doing the same goal. We innovate what we have. We always stay true to ourselves, and that what makes our brand has its own identity and makes it different from other people.
Okay, good. I think I think what I hear here is that you have your own DNA, you're very confident about it, and you are, because again, building for the people, as long as they resonate with you, they will keep coming back.
Yes.
All right. Let's touch on the topic that's a little bit sensitive. Okay. So you do design work. And these days, AI is quite prevalent. All right. You can say, hey, design this for me with floral patterns, with this shade of colors and whatnot. What do you feel about that? And does your company apply any form of AI in their day-to-day work? Not necessarily in design only, but right now we're talking about design, AI for design. How do you feel about that as a designer?
But personally, I feel that design still needs a human touch, especially for a hijab wearer. Hijab is very close to your face, so it for us who do not show our hair, hijab shapes our face. Hijab also became some sort of our identity, and that is something I don't think AI can replicate, like that human touch. So for my designers, they work very closely, because all our designs are hand drawn, and they work very closely with the fact that it's not just on paper, it also has to look good on the head as well. So everything is it contains a lot of human touch by a lot of different eyes. So I feel that that is not where AI level is yet. We do use AI for certain things, but absolutely not design.
Okay, so day-to-day tasks for ChatGPT, coming up
Yeah.
ideas and so forth. Okay, I hear you. Now, what about competition using AI, right? Or even worse, humans copying your design, right? And how does that affect your branding and your marketing?
For us, I think that copying it's normal. I mean, people sometimes feel that they're being copycat, but it could be they get the inspiration from the same thing. But of course, there are also copycat that work closely behind you, chasing after you. But for TudungPeople, we believe that to always look forward, there's always room for innovation. We'll always look for new things. And then with that, when you have your own path, you don't really care who's in front, who's by the side, or whatever. We just want to stay true to what you believe in, and just keep on innovating. I think that we have never been like comfortable at where we are. We're always finding new things, and that has helped us to keep on searching for new ideas and to be relevant in the industry.
Great answer. Great answer. I think I have friends in the fashion design world as well. And generally, I hear them being very frustrated in the early days when they make it big, semi big, and they find knockoff
Yeah.
products of their own. But after a while, they take it as a compliment. You know what? I'm good enough that people want to make a copy of what I do. Okay, so let's come back to talk about managing a business. So you said that you have a team of ladies, 99% of them are ladies, and you work very closely with them, and they work for a very long time with you. And you also said that you have started taking a step back from your business. So I want to talk about empowering your people, right? Number one, how do you attract the talent to begin with in the early days, all right? And they obviously stay and they love it being here. And then, of course, you have new people coming into the business over time as well. Um, do you have do you think you have a great brand culture that automatically attracts people, or you have to go out there, search for the right people, and get them to come in? What is your strategy like when it comes to hiring and retainment?
Well, for me, there's no right or wrong answer to this. For us, through years of experience, luckily, when the group, like since most of my staffs are women, the company is very women centric as well, and I think for some reason that attracts more women. Like we didn't want to have an all women company, but we just tend to attract more women and more women coming in. So a lot of the policy in the company, it's very women oriented. Not trying to be sexist here, but I think we just have to answer to who our employees are. And I think that we also found like a pool of personalities that we love working with, and then for some reason we keep on attracting like the same kind of minds, the same kind of personality. Like you would know, I feel that my company has a very I would say a happy environment. They're very supportive of each other. And I guess that's what you get when a lot of them grew with the company together. They came in perhaps a fresh grad, or and then they just grew older with the company, and they kind of grew older with their workmates as well. And that's the fun. I think we've been together for so long that we are at each other's milestones, personal milestones as well, and that creates a greater bond.
So I don't want to be a sexist, but I know that when people hear you say this, there might be comments like, "Oh, it's an all-women company. I'm sure there's a lot of gossiping going around. There's a lot of, backstabbing maybe, and all these are negative traits that people like to portray in a work environment where women could be a bit more gossipy." Is that a truth, or you know?
Absolutely not. I feel that that's why I mentioned personalities. I feel that like this, like for me at least in my company environment, we create a lot of personalities that they're very sweet. Like for some reason, like all this like people who's very sweet, a bit of introvert. They're very soft. But I guess that's what creates that Tudung people identity, and that kind of makes people really like, oh, Tudung people company would be like, what they would expect to have this kind of environment, because I feel that even as a brand, we're a bit more chill. Like we try to be fun, but we're not like those like hyper, very active kind of brands. We're a bit more chill, a bit more mellow, and I guess it kind of connects to those type of people, and they want to work with us. I
So
guess I'm the most extrovert in the company. Like I'm always like everywhere.
you're the loudest.
The loudest, obviously. Like I'm in the office because I'm very loud. Whereas everybody will say, that's fast. Okay, fast. What do you want? So I guess that's a funny way to see. I feel that even for those we interview, we always look for likewise personality to keep the environment like happy.
Actually, why I asked that question is because I feel like you attract what you put out. And since you've built such a great brand culture, whether you know it or not, because I noticed that you don't speak of it that way, as I would usually, you actually have a very strong brand culture that is very nurturing, that is very protective, and that energy seeps through your brand. So when people see your brand, and if they happen to be looking for a job, they'll be like, "This is a brand I resonate with. I want to be a part of." So the positivity grows, right? Instead of if you hire the wrong kind of people, then the negativity grows as well. All right. So right now, who are your lieutenants, your generals within your ranks, right? That is managing the business for you on the days that you go on holiday, or do you go on holiday with them all one shot?
No lah. I feel that I don't go to holiday that much now, especially as Student People's growing. There's so many big collaborations. So I'm around. I'm always in the office Monday to Friday. Okay, not 9 to 5 lah, 10 to 5, okay?
Okay.
But I feel that being present is really important. And of course, I have my team of HOD that has been with me for a long time, and then they handle each of the departments separately. I guess for women, it is by nature for us to be very supportive of each other, and same goes with them. Most of my HOD are all women, and they're very supportive even during busy time. And then a lot of them were mothers as well. So I guess there's some sort of a connection with. There were times, okay, you can't put 200% in your work like all the time. There were times where you are tired, or do you have family who's being sick, and even at busy time, you can't give your 100%, and that's fine when you have a very good supportive system that takes over when you are not at your 100%. So I guess that's the kind of environment that we love, even when, like, even though you can say that I'm the leader, I'm not exactly like the boss. Even there are times when I need to go there and help, and I will do it. So I think that kind of environment really makes us be supportive of each other, so that even when someone is not around, there's always somebody else there.
So from the sound of it, your type of leadership, to some extent, is a servitude leadership. Are you familiar with that term?
No, I've never heard of it. What is
So
that?
basically, as a leader, sometimes people would say, "Hey, everyone works for me. They serve me." Right? A servitude leadership is a little bit different. It's my role here is to take care of my team, and it sounds like you're doing a very good job of that. That your next in line, your HODs, they will take care of their team, and it's again, I mentioned a very nurturing environment. So I, as a fellow entrepreneur, I'm very proud that you have such a strong organization where again the support is there, and it's not found in every organization. So I hope that you're able to maintain that as you continue to grow.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. So last one on work culture and also empowering others. So what advice do you have for younger generations who wants to be in the boss role when it comes to taking care of the team and growing the team in the early stages? Go think back about your first 1-2 years, your first 2-3 years. When you had to grow the team bit by bit, but you can't manage everybody, right? So what were the things that you did to make sure that what you had at that time is able to translate to what you have today?
I feel that being a boss, sometimes there's a tendency for you to be misunderstood because we can't read minds, and it goes both ways. Whether you need to understand where your staff's at, what's going on in their shoes, and they too, to some extent, need to understand what's going on in your shoes. So I feel that communication is the main key in a successful business. You need, as a leader, you need to be able to communicate clearly, and it cannot be from one direction. You have to be a good talker and also a good listener.
I knew that was going to come from you. Okay, you've been talking for a lot. I want to give you a quick break. We'll take a 5 minutes rest, and then we'll hear what UniFi has to say, and we'll be back again. All right?
Being your own boss can feel like a big mistake. When you need to figure out everything yourself, even though you don't know what to do. But with the right partner, it can feel like the best decision you make. Because no matter what problems you face, we will always find a way. These are the business owners who have grown their business with our help.
Welcome back. Okay, now I'm going to make it easy for you. Right after this, it should be easier questions, not so much business involved. Really? It's been chill, man. Okay, so I hear that you have really done very well for yourself, and I can see it, I can feel it, right? And I'm so happy to have met you. And I know that the person behind it is so genuine.
Thank
All right?
you.
So now, I want to also acknowledge, or I want to ask you if you feel that in your life, has there been any advantages that you got, whether it is upbringing, a great positive upbringing, whether it is great supportive parents with very strong mindset in education as a priority, right? Do you think you have certain privileges that gave you opportunities that others might not have?
Well, okay, when you talk about privilege, there will always be people who has more privilege than you, and there will always be people who has less privilege than you. Since we're in this UniFi segment, honestly, I think that one of the advantages that I have is I'm a bit more tech savvy. I think for peers coming from architecture, who did not learn technologies or IT, whatever, I'm a bit more tech savvy in a way that I really utilize what I already have. I wouldn't say that I was brought up with a silver spoon, but for sure I've learned how to leverage with what I have. So one of it, I think TudungPeople get to be where we are right now just by leveraging on social media. We really do spend most of our marketing revenues, marketing budgets are all on social media. We're very visual. I'm a very visual person, so we try to portray as much visual as possible, and that is something that comes a bit more naturally. I think with even though what I studied, is not really like fashion per se, but for me to learn art gives me like a perspective on how a certain look is more visually pleasing. And I feel that when we first started, I was one of the few yang macam very particular about how I want my product to be displayed. So we spent a lot on fashion campaigns. Back then when hijab was not considered like a fashion piece, they'd be like, oh, hijab ni macam it's
Everyday wear lah.
everyday wear. Honestly, back then I feel that people always associate hijab as something yang macam a bit mundur. You know what mundur is?
Like backward.
Backwards,
Yeah.
yeah. And like you can wear like nice dress and just put whatever on top of your head if you wearing hijab. And I guess that changes. We want to change that kind of perspective. So we always try to make it like fashion. Like we treat our photo campaigns like a big deal. Like even though I just post it on Facebook, but it has to be. It needs to have a certain standards, a certain look that I feel that what makes TudungPeople stands out. And honestly, we're talking about privilege. I feel that I use that to my advantage, and then we've always looked into international look, and then I've always inspired from international fashion campaigns, and we try to replicate that within our budget. And Alhamdulillah, to be born in the year where everything is at the fingertips really helped. I don't feel that I'll achieve the same thing I've achieved right now if I was born or if I made my company back in the 80s or back in the 90s where internet was not like fast or internet was not as massive as it is right now. Like if as of right now, social media is even bigger. But when you get to start where social media was just starting, you kind of grow with it as well.
Yep.
And I get to catch on example back when Facebook was the it social media, and then we had Instagram. Like Instagram is the it social media, and right now it's TikTok. And for me to be born at the right time, I feel that. And I'm still in that generation that I'm very flexible to change. Like started on e-commerce back then. Who would have thought for you to create a website and sell online? Like there's no address. And you sell it from your house.
And people trust you.
And
to
people
buy.
trust you. And that has really put things into advantage for those who started at the start of e-commerce time.
That being said, so we're still on the topic of privilege. I do have one question here that I wanted to ask, which is if someone didn't have the privilege that you have. So from the sound of it, you had the privilege of education and specifically architecture, which give you the fashion sense, the design sense. Similarly, I graduated with mechanical engineering, so I have the engineer's eye. I see problems, I find solutions for them. So that's our privilege that we have. We got to uni, right? So let's say for someone who might not have that privilege to go to university, or just because they didn't have the opportunity, what advice do you have for them? Is it not possible for them to find success, or in this day and age there are still possibilities? What are your thoughts on this?
I feel that internet has really opened you to so many opportunities. Like learning, it's number one. Like education does not come with like back then. Perhaps you only get education if you go somewhere. You need to be at places, whether it's library, university, whatever. But right now, education can just be from your phone. So that it's how easy it is right now for you to learn and to add knowledge. Of course, by the end of the day, you still need knowledge to do something. But with the time, the information technology is at your fingertips, you can learn at any time. Even like you say, for someone who might not have the time, do not have the privilege of time, they can still do it at their own comfort. Whether it be at night before they sleep, or even the wee morning. That nothing is impossible at this age.
You're right. I think with connectivity, it opens up a world of knowledge. The question is, do you want to pursue those knowledge?
Yes, that's
Well
right.
said, well said. Okay, so let's move on to something a little bit more fun. Okay, food.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like to cook food?
I like to eat them.
You like to eat them. Can you cook? What is the best dish that you can cook? I see that fear in your eye. Can you cook Maggie?
Not the best.
Not. Oh, I mean, you can, right?
I can
Okay.
cook
What do
Maggi.
you cook for your kids if they have to have a meal?
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Mac
Okay.
and cheese, nasi,
Okay.
pasta. But I order better than I cook.
You order better
Absolutely
than you
eat better than I cook. Well, I guess I do have a certain standard in my taste, and my cooking skill does not come to that lah.
cook. Okay. All right. So good to know. Now, since you say you eat out a lot, all right, or you buy a lot, what is your favorite Malaysian dish and why?
Malaysian dish. Oh my god, nasi.
Nasi what?
Nasi. Okay.
Any nasi?
I'll be honest with you. I really like chicken.
Okay.
So nasi ayam is my favorite Malaysian dish. Nasi ayam, nasi lemak ayam, anything with nasi and chicken lah. But technically, if there's only one food that I get to choose that I can eat the whole life, it has to be chicken rice.
Okay. Just curious, would there ever be a chicken rice theme on your hijab?
We try. It's not that
Oh.
nice.
I want to see the sample. Okay. This one is a little bit deeper. Still on the topic of food and culture. If you are to share a meal with anyone that is living or deceased, okay, who would it be and why? And what dish would you be sharing with them? I assume it's gonna be chicken rice lah.
Oh, whoa. There's so many ways to look at this.
Mhm.
Like, I can be greedy. I want to choose so many people. But I was crazy for this K-drama right now.
Okay.
It's called Queen of Tears. I've watched
I've
it
heard-
finished, by the way.
I've heard.
If there's anybody that I can choose right now, if I want to be greedy, it's Kim So Hyun. Oh my god.
It's the,
He's the
actor-
guy.
Okay.
He's the guy. I'm
okay.
sorry, you didn't know. But
I was
yeah.
told to avoid it because I'll be bawling my eyes out, so I didn't want to do that.
No, but oh my god, it's so nice, and they're like nice. We like nice women like nice things. It's nice things to look at. So
Okay,
they're
okay,
like,
I get you.
so eye pleasing.
What would you feed him?
Chicken rice.
Chicken rice. Okay. And one last one. Okay. If there's one food brand, Malaysian food brand out there, that is on your wish list to collab with, what brand would that be? You don't have to say me. It's okay.
I'm gonna answer that. It has to be my burger.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. Not taking us into consideration.
okay.
What food brand would that be? Just curious.
For some reason, I've been eating a lot of biscuits right now.
Mm-hmm.
Julie's.
Julie's.
So local, right? I don't know
Wait,
why.
Julie's is local. Ah?
Julie's is local.
Okay. So Julie's, I hope you're listening. Okay, we'll move on from this, and we're going to wrap things up for today. Now, we've covered a lot today, Fazrena, and I thank you for your time and your very insightful answers.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So as we wrap up, what advice do you have to give to young aspiring entrepreneurs, especially in their early 20s, looking to make their mark in the business world, especially those that want to start before they even start working for somebody else, just like yourself?
Well, for me, before you start, you always need to have a plan. So always plan yourself. Of course, there are many times when things do not happen to what you plan, and that's okay. But to be a good entrepreneur is to always be on the game. You need to have a plan A. Plan A doesn't work, there's a plan B. If plan B doesn't work, there's a plan C. And it goes on and on and on. It's not a journey with an ending. It's an adventure. So there's always an ups and downs, but never give up. Never give up. That's number one.
I think that's a very important point to have, which is sometimes I think you were very lucky. I don't know if that's the right thing to say, that you hit the gold mine on the very first try. A lot of business owners that I know usually have it on their second, third, or even 10th try before they get to where they find success. And I also don't want to downplay that, entrepreneurship is difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you made it look very easy, right?
Well, I was a bit lucky. I was a bit lucky to have TudungPeople at the first try. But I think at the same time, through business, we have learned when to go and when to stop. I think it's very important for you to know when enough is enough. You need to draw the line of stop sacrificing and just move on. I think you as an entrepreneur would know that, right?
Yep. I have my own fair share of knowing, hey, this project can no longer go forward, and cutting the loss earlier would be a much better choice. And with that, we've reached the end of this episode of University. Is it too young to start a business? For her case, definitely no. Now, we thank you for being here with us all the way until the end. I hope you've learned many lessons along the way. If you don't know how to do digital marketing, you can get on UniFi's Business Digital Marketing Solution. Visit our website for more information. Follow our social media accounts to get notified on the next podcast episode. Bye everyone! May you find early success just like Fazrena from TudungPeople.